real quick, I'm going to start with my usual intro, just telling you if you're your first time on the show. This is a show that we do every week. Rena, hi, how are you? It's good to have you on board. But this is a show that we do every week, and really this show is all about you. So it's usually on underwriting issues, but at times we'll do leadership, we'll do sales, whatever is important to agency operations. So if you have any ideas, we're certainly open in hearing those ideas. This show is Thursdays at 10 a.m. Our time, except for the last week of the month. And if you're in the title industry for any given time, you know exactly why. We are very engaged in this. So if this is a Q&A time, when she speaks on Tenncare, which she's going to speak about shortly, if you, a good way to raise your hand is just to, let us know if you have a question out there, anything at all. Melanie, hi, how are you this morning? If you have anything at all, please ask it and we'll answer it the best way that we can. So with that getting started, why don't you introduce yourself just real quick. How many of you have called her in the past, have called Jessica in the past? And if you have, okay, we already have a viewer that says that they love you.
Oh, well, that's
pretty good. That's pretty good. And that wasn't a setup. So thank you for saying that. But why don't you share something about yourself? And you've been with us for how long now?
Right at a year and a month, I guess,
okay.
About tomorrow.
How's it going?
Good.
I don't think I've asked her that in a while, so I never know what I'm going to get.
No, it's going well.
Good. And what is your background, just to tell everyone?
In college, I started out in the real estate industry by working kind of as an assistant part-time for a title company, for a title agent, a single attorney who was starting his business. And so I worked for him for my last year of college for about a year, and I interned with him one summer of law school. And after law school, I actually worked for Fidelity National Title Insurance before we were all merged into one.
Okay.
And worked there about a year and a half with Jerry Grand and Nicole Hughes, who are in our office now. Okay. And I kind of got out of real estate for about 6.5 years and worked kind of in employment law and employee benefits law. So then Jerry, as many of you know, is retiring, which is really sad.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
I don't want to spread any news out there. I mean, any rumors or anything. He will be continuing with us, but yes, he's kind of fading out a little bit.
So he contacted me and asked me if I was interested, and I was interested in getting back into real estate. So here I am.
And it's been great having you on the board. I'm not just saying that because we're on Facebook Live, but you have a tremendous amount of experience that you've brought on. You're a great team player. And obviously what we're trying to do as far as an organization is continue to add to our talent. And you've certainly been a big part of that. So with that, what are you going to speak on today on Title Talk Live?
Well, today we're going to talk about the super exciting topic of Tenncare. I know that's everybody's favorite.
I'm excited. I mean, are you excited about Tenncare this morning? Well, why did you pick Tenncare?
Well, about a month or so ago, I'd been asked to speak about Tenncare for 30 minutes for Tennessee Bar Association, Hot Topics in Real Estate. So I don't know if anybody was there, but and it was 30 minutes, and kind of the joke around the office was, well, talking about Tenncare for title insurance purposes, really, you only need to talk about it for a minute, because basically, if there's a dead person in your chain, you need a Tenncare release. So all the other underwriters were asking, what are you going to talk about the rest of the 29 minutes? So I kind of pulled together stuff. We went through the history of Tenncare, the history of Medicaid. It was probably super boring, but sometimes it helps to know the history, to know why you need a Tenncare release, rather than just, well, you need one, get it. And once you go through all that stuff, sometimes it helps to understand.
Well, I didn't know that actually happened. So you had 30 minutes to kill, right? Which would be hard for anybody to do live. And you were just thinking, what can I speak on? And Tenncare had come to mind.
No, they asked for Tenncare.
Oh, they basically said it, and you were able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, interesting.
No, they asked for it.
Well, can you give a brief overview, though, kind of based on what you had talked about? Just tell us what Tenncare is. Just giving an overview.
Okay. So Tenncare is a program that provides health insurance to people who are eligible for Medicaid and certain people who otherwise don't have access to health insurance. So Tenncare stems from Medicaid, and Medicaid is a federal program. The U.S. government's in charge of it, and it's designed to help low-income earners get long-term benefits, long-term health care, and support that they couldn't afford by themselves. So since Medicaid is really expansive and comprehensive and extensive, it was designed to be a joint federal and state program. So the federal Medicaid allows states to choose whether they want funding from the federal government or not, which most usually do.
Right.
But if they accept this funding, the federal government has to approve them, and then they have to follow all the federal guidelines. So, and as you can imagine, Medicaid, since it's kind of designed to help people, it's really expensive. So this is why the federal government requires states to recover from any estates of Medicaid recipients after they pass away. So Medicaid programs can recover from Medicaid recipients over 55 after they die, pursuant to this federal law.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So after the federal government enacted Medicaid, Tennessee immediately opted into federal funding, and they created Tenncare.
Interesting.
And they also chose what's called a limited estate recovery program. So I said, the federal government mandates that that the program recover from people who receive Medicaid during their lifetime. But the federal government lets the states choose whether they want a limited or expanded program. And a limited program is limited to recovering from the probate estate of the deceased individual.
Gotcha. Okay. So why is Tenncare such a big deal then if Tennessee has a limited estate recovery program and real estate often passes outside of the probate estate?
Yeah, so that's true. As everyone watching this knows, usually real estate property passes outside a deceased probate estate unless it's specifically brought in by a will, and we don't see that all that often. So like I said, Tennessee essentially has adopted a limited estate recovery program. However, courts in Tennessee have kind of been expanding it by their rulings into an expanded estate recovery program. And this is where it says that Tenncare can recover from the probate estate and also real property and personal property that passes outside the probate estate. So the courts are kind of bringing more into it. And there have been a lot of recent court decisions where they just keep siding with Tenncare, going after people and ruling in their favor, essentially. So, for example, the courts have held that Tenncare could recover from real property that passed outside the probate estate. And then they've also held that Tenncare could recover from property that was held in a revocable trust. So essentially, if there's a dead person, we need a Tenncare release because Tenncare they're pretty good about getting their money and trying.
So it's pretty important in the title agents to know about Tenncare. It's something that you're asked about often.
Right, and I think everybody knows, we need a Tenncare release. But, and that's standard, but this is kind of why it's important.
So if you just had to sum up some takeaways about Tenncare that's important for our audience to know, what would those be?
Okay. Well, so the basics, when you get a real estate transaction and you see a dead person in the chain and you groan because you have to do all the estate stuff, which is never fun. And so one of the big estate issues is going to be a Tenncare release. And you're just always going to need to have a Tenncare release for any dead person in the chain. And this is essentially because of this estate recovery program that Tenncare is required to go after estates of recipients. So, which is why we need to have it.
Absolutely. So how can they get a hold of you? Obviously, if they want to talk about Tenncare more or anything else as far as underwriting is concerned.
My email is jessica.webb-ayer with a hyphen in it at fnf.com, or my number, which I can't think of the direct line right now.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's at the bottom of my email.
I know that most agents email anyway. So we want to thank everyone. Thank you for first taking the time out to talk more about Tenncare. Thank you for the audience joining us this morning. Don't leave yet because we're going to do our drawing. I just had my assistant that came in to bring us a name. Stephanie Barber. Not sure if you are still live, but you have won the $25 gift card. So congratulations for that. Want to thank everybody else for joining us this morning. Please remember to share this with other audience in Facebook. We will be doing Facebook, as we said earlier, every Thursday at 10 a.m. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful fall day, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.